to have a nice sort of binaural campfire and a sort of, the crickets sounding at night, so hopefully it's the sort of feel, hopefully, that you'll get from it. And tonight's story is about a guy called John Fink. Now, John Fink, when he went to school, was constantly bullied by this other boy called Nigel. And they went to the secondary school as well together, and Nigel just pretty much bullied him throughout the whole of his school days. Anyway, once he left school, he don't know what really happened to Nigel. He was now married to a woman called Kate, who wasn't the nicest of people, to be honest. She sort of didn't really treat John right. Anyway, one weekend they went away to this hotel, and John, after having an argument with Kate, which was a pretty regular thing, he went down to the bar, and there in the bar was Nigel. So Nigel, who was actually quite pleased to see him, and said, "Oh, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in years." And John was saying, yeah, that he's doing fine, he's okay. He's in between jobs at the moment. So Nigel said, "Look, I've got this massive company." He went, "Why don't you work for me?" He said, "That would be brilliant, wouldn't it?" So John said, "Yeah, that would be good." So Nigel's now give him a job, which was great. All of a sudden, Kate comes down and says to John, "Oh, I thought you'd be in here, And she said, "Well, who's this?" So John said, "Well, this is my old friend Nigel, and he's just given me a job at his company." So Kate said, "Oh, that's good. Always nice to meet you, Nigel, Nigel then said, "Well, it's very nice to meet you too," and starts flirting with Kate for the rest of the night. Anyway, after having a few drinks, Nigel says, "Let's all have dinner tomorrow. Let's go out for dinner, all of us." So John agrees. So that night, or the next night, John and Kate meet up at this restaurant, and Nigel comes with his wife. Nigel comes in, immediately sees Kate and says, "Oh my God, Kate, you look absolutely beautiful tonight." He doesn't seem to show any sort of real interest in his own wife. Nigel then starts telling a story about when he and John were at school. He said, I always used to do whatever I wanted to John. He was such an easy target. He said, I once flushed his head down the toilet. He said, and he was just saying all these things that he had done. He said, and I had a little nickname for him. He said, I used to call him Stinky Finky. And this, of course, made Kate burst into laughter. He said, yes, old Stinky Pinky, that's what I used to call him. And Kate said, well, why did you used to call him Stinky Pinky? And he said, well, because he was always messing everything up. He said everything he done, he said he messed up. He said he never done a thing right in all the times we were at school. He said he failed everything. He said, so we used to call him Stinky Pinky because he just literally used to stink at everything. John was now getting a little bit not only embarrassed but also a bit angry. Nigel said, but not anymore, eh, John? He said, oh, isn't it? He said, yes, it is, yeah. Anyway, throughout the night again, Nigel was just flirting with Kate for the entire night. And finally, when they all went home, John said, do you have to be so flirty with Nigel? He said, it's really embarrassing you being like that. So she said, look, I'll do whatever I want, so, shut up. And anyway, so it was another argument. They both went to bed. The next day, John went to work, but then realised he'd forgotten something at home. So he went home, drove home, and as he pulled up, Nigel's Rolls Royce was outside. So he thought, well, what's going on here? So he went in, and there was Kate and Nigel and Nigel's chauffeur sitting there just having a coffee with Kate. And Nigel said, there you are, old boy. He said, I've just brought these round for you to have a look at. It was something to do with his job. He said, there you go. He said, well, that's all I came round for. Thanks for the coffee. And him and his chauffeur went. So now John started getting a bit paranoid because he was sort of getting suspicious that Nigel, was sort of getting a bit too close to Kate. So anyway, one day, John goes to work and he's really getting paranoid and getting stressed out and everything. So he asks his secretary where Nigel is. So she says, apparently he had to go out on an emergency meeting. So immediately he's got suspicious. So again he drives home, and there, sitting outside his house, is Nigel's Rolls Royce car. So he's now like really, really angry, and calls his wife. There's a phone box on the corner, and he picks up the phone and calls her, and he says like, what you doing? She says, hi. She went, nothing, I'm just out shopping at the moment. What would you like for dinner? So John says, I'm not really bothered. He said, anything you want. And he sort of hangs up and goes back to work. The next day, he goes through his stuff in the wardrobe that's in a locked drawer, and in this locked drawer is a box, and inside the box is a gun. So John takes the gun out of the box and goes to work. He goes to Nigel's secretary and says he wants to see him. So she says, well, he's in his office. He goes in his office, pulls out the gun and shoots Nigel in the head, killing him instantly. He then puts the gun in his belt, walks out, goes to his car and drives back. As he pulls up, outside of his house is the Rolls Royce. Now, being a bit confused, John walks in to the house and can hear giggling and laughing coming from upstairs. He goes upstairs and bursts open the door. In bed is Kate and the chauffeur. Realising what he's done, that's loosely based on another really good episode of a show called Tales of the Unexpected. If you've never watched those, then please give them a try. That is one of them. I think it was just called Stinky, the thing. But yeah, Stinky Pinky, it's something like that. Stinky Finky, Stinky Pinky, whatever. It's something like that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Because I haven't done one of these in quite a while, but hopefully, please let me know, guys, what you prefer, whether you prefer the campfire like now, or whether you would like the rain and the thunder back, on the tent. Whatever you want, I'll do it, or maybe alternate between the both. That would be good. Okay, guys, it's brilliant to see you. I will be back with another video, but in the meantime, have yourselves a wonderful